world gone insane. An upside-down civilization that cannot be real. A world of madness and terror.
It's the Dana Gould Hour.
Trick or treat, trick or treat, trick or treat on Halloween. Happy Halloween!
It is that time of year, folks. It's Halloween. Halloween is my favorite holiday. I love everything about it. Let's get into this. I grew up loving horror movies, and then I got into comedy. And nothing makes me happier than when a movie combines those two elements. And you can count on one hand the times it's been done successfully. But that makes it all the more special when it does happen. An American Werewolf in London comes to mind. Shaun of the Dead comes to mind. Or something altogether different like Young Frankenstein, which is a beautiful comedy about a horror movie. Or then you get something completely unique. Something like Plan 9 from Outer Space, which is inadvertent comedy in the pursuit of failed horror. And I remember when I first discovered Plan 9 from Outer Space and the entire Ed Wood oeuvre, and it was just a perfect present made for me. The biopic of Ed Wood, entitled, oddly enough, Ed Wood, and directed by Tim Burton, is one of my favorite movies of all time. And the two men who wrote that movie, Scott Alexander and Larry Karaszewski, are with us on this very podcast. Scott and Larry have also written such films as The People vs. Larry Flint, Man on the Moon. The list goes on and on. You can IMDb them on your home computer. Right now, they're very busy getting ready to direct one of their scripts, and I'm super grateful that they made time for us. And by us, I mean me. We are also joined, and by we, I mean I, by our regulars, Ken Daly and Matt Weinhold. Eddie Pepitone is not with us for this specific installment, but in his stead, we have the mighty Jonah Ray, he of the Nerdist, and a Halloween geek in his own right. Plugs, very quickly. Jonah you can hear on The Nerdist. Matt Weinhold you can find on comedyfilmnerds.com, and me, on November 8th, 9th, and 10th, I will be performing in Minneapolis, Minnesota at the Acme Comedy Club, one of my favorite places to go. And you can go to danagould.com for details. And now, I hear the doorbell. It must be Halloween. I am joined by Ken Daly.
Hello.
Matt Weinhold.
Hi.
And the star of the new podcast, Jonah Radio, Jonah Ray.
D, hey, how's it going?
How's it going?
Good.
We're talking about our favorite holiday, Flag Day.
Flag Day.
Flag Day. Ken, what was your coolest and least cool Halloween costume?
Coolest. I liked my Quint costume because I actually really looked like him, and I got no photos of it.
And you were like, what, 12?
But no, this was 3 years ago.
Oh, okay.
I think your coolest costume was Chris Gaines.
Chris Gaines was pretty good, yeah.
It was great because I saw you in the outfit, and I was, what are you supposed to be? And then you did the Chris Gaines pose, putting, your hands on your shoulders, and you did the shoulder up like
made
that.
Poochy lips.
Poochy lips. And then,
Chris Gaines was the alter ego of
Garth Brooks.
Garth Brooks.
Exactly.
That's right.
One of the most blatant pussy moves in popular music. I want to do a rock album, but I'm afraid it won't be good, so I won't do it as me.
He was going to turn that whole thing into, there was going to be a movie. It's like the album just tanked so hard that they did nothing with it. But if the album was a hit, they were going to make a movie based on Chris Gaines' life.
God damn it.
Was he totally serious about that?
Yep.
It's
And then they back up and say, it was just a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was OJ.
It's gonna be
Just kidding.
But isn't that the type of idea that you talk about with your friends and you all laugh, and then it never goes beyond that? And
Yeah.
this actually, an album was made.
I've seen a lot of movies that you think, what? This was like an idea at a party? The next day, people are like, don't ever mention that idea again.
Please don't.
But that's how much people must hate him in his real life, that no one that everyone went, that's a great idea.
I just think you get so surrounded by people that, yeah.
That is a good shirt.
Yeah, exactly.
Flying above the audience? Okay, you're a country star. You know that. Okay.
As Tom Kenny used to call Liberace, a Kiss concert for old people.
Kiss just released a new album.
I know. It's so
I just saw
great.
them on the TV the other night.
Yeah.
On the old TV?
Yeah. They don't look as old with the makeup on.
Yeah, I think that was a conscious
cover.
decision.
Yeah. And that Gene's armor is now just his girdle.
Yeah.
It's like an armored spank.
It's a big dragon truss.
I want to stoop all night, watch Matlock every day. We're going to get out of here and have dinner because it's almost 5 o'clock.
I want to rock and roll till 5, and then there's Jell-O.
So, Ken, what's one movie every Halloween season you watch?
Ghost of Mr. Chicken.
Very nice.
Yeah, you got to watch that one.
Yeah. I watch Last Man on Earth.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm a man and you're all freaks.
I'm the one.
Who's the romantic lead? Well, Vincent Price, obviously.
He's in love with his own acting.
Who's it going to be? Doug McClure?
I love that little montage where he's putting the stakes into all the vampires, and his wrist is all over the place.
Yeah. I'll just make some steaks and use them.
I bet that hurt.
Consider yourself smoten.
He makes sure not to ruin the coat.
right.
First.
I guess today I'll have green beans. It's Thursday. And
He stakes someone and then whips out the lint brush.
I met Vincent Price.
Oh, yeah?
I met Vincent Price
Oh, really?
in college. He came to speak to our acting class at University of Massachusetts.
Wow.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
That is really cool.
Yeah, shook his hand.
Mask of the Red Death was on the other night.
That's a good one.
That is my favorite.
awesome.
That is my favorite of all the Corman Poe movies.
Oh, really?
Beautiful movie.
Yeah, it's really,
Beautiful.
it's gorgeous. It's really creepy.
Yeah, that's a great
Yeah.
movie and a great poster.
Yes, yeah.
I also love the moment where the guy that hits the little girl and you're like, he's going to be cool with that? And then he just
Yeah.
Here's a great Roger Corman story. I'm doing a gig in Tucson, which is a great town. Tucson's great. And I'm flying back to L.A., and I sitting in the little, thing.
Airplane?
Waiting area?
Yeah. Airplane waiting, airplane.
Flying vehicle?
Airport living room.
Lozenge dispensary?
Airport living room.
You're at the gate.
I'm at the gate.
Travel tube.
Travel tube. I'm in the Jeffries tube. And I see Roger Corman and his wife. And I walk up to him and I go, Mr. Corman, if this was not the truth, I wouldn't tell you. I watched Tomb of Lygia last night. I thought it was wonderful. I was like, oh, thank you very much. That was a very fun film to make. Vinny was great in that.
Vinny.
Yes, it was.
Vinny.
And then we all get on the plane, and I sit down in my first class seat, and Roger goes right back to coach. I felt so terrible.
I love that moment.
I pressured the club into this. You should sit here.
I love the moment in, was it The Howling, where Roger Corman goes into the phone booth after the lady and and checks for the coin slot.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, that's great.
I was watching this interview with Joe Dante where he says, they had a cut, and then like an executive was like, "Why do you stay and watch that dude go into there?" And it's Roger Corman. He's looking. The whole theory is like to get him to do it, they had to tell him that there was 50 cents in there.
You didn't want to look cheap.
Yeah.
I think one of my favorite Halloween movies that I watch every year is Halloween, which I think is a near perfect movie.
Yeah.
It's a goodie.
I love that movie. And it works every time. It's always scary and creepy. And when
And
he
Rob Zombie's such a good director. I totally know what you mean.
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant Halloween 2.
Oh, yeah.
I think you mean Halloween 3 Season of the Year,
Yeah.
Tight masks are scary.
which is as great a song as it is a terrible movie. I saw Halloween 2. These are two very good movie memories. I graduated high school in 1982, and I had a lot of great going to the movie memories. And I saw Halloween 2 the night before my SATs. Like, we just couldn't study anymore. Wow. So we went to see Halloween 2, and it was just Donald Pleasance. He's loose! And we kept going because we had just seen Escape from New York that summer.
Yeah.
Because it's, I'm the Duke of New York! I'm a number one! We kept shouting that in the theater. And I saw American Werewolf in London, like, on a dark, spooky, windy New England night. That was one of my favorite movie-going experiences ever.
I saw that 3 times in a row when it came out.
Because your mom wouldn't pick you up at the theater.
It was that, and that was when you could stay in the theater and watch a movie again.
Yeah.
I had one of those. All my friends were gone.
Watch this shit again?
I'm having a hard time bringing up movies that I thought were scary when I was growing up watching them because I think you guys would make fun of me.
Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park.
You?
Demon, Starchild, Terry and Lewis, the trapped on the Ferris wheel. We'd better get our talismans. Oh, look, it's Black Stunt Ace.
What's your scariest horror movie? Or what's the one that scares you the most?
My wedding video.
It's actually Repulsion.
Repulsion?
The Roman Polanski about the girl going crazy in the apartment.
Oh, yeah,
the Repulsion and The Tenant.
Yeah,
Both
that's
are
Roman
really,
Polanski.
just really
that's
disturbed,
interesting.
great movies.
Yeah, those are good movies.
I don't have a hard time watching something bad happen to a child rapist.
I was afraid of seeing a real horror movie in a theater.
Really?
And then I saw, I think it was Dr. Fibes, older friend of the family, took me to see it. And
Kids love anything with Joseph Cotten.
I ran out of the theater crying and screaming.
I was 4 years old when my cousin came over to babysit me and my brother, and he popped in Nightmare on Elm Street Part 1. So I was 4 when I saw him.
Wow, that's rough going.
Yeah, and I had a just from there I was kind of addicted to him because I loved the sensation that I got from it. But it didn't.
The giant boner?
I wasn't. Yeah.
Or cutting off your own fingers.
I wasn't unafraid,
This
though.
is God.
I wasn't unafraid. I was very frightened by all of it, but I
Yeah.
would just feed into it. But the one movie that still, if I think about it, I still kind of get spooked is Candyman.
I think the 3 scariest movies that I saw were all TV movies. The original Night Stalker in 1972, which I saw when I was 9, scared the bejesus out of me.
Yeah.
Also because my brother hid in the closet of my bedroom and came running out just like...
My brother was like sense around. He was like the added element that every movie
the
needed.
same with Trilogy of Terror, which was in 1973.
Sure, that's a great one.
Yeah.
You ever seen that?
No.
Yeah,
oh my God,
it's terrific.
Trilogy of Terror is terrifying, and my brother threw my G.I. Joe on me in the middle of the night.
The last sequence of Trilogy of Terror is really
Yeah, it's a
good.
little terror
So
doll.
Zuni fetish doll.
My brother, once we were both like brushing our teeth in the bathroom, and it was right after we watched Candyman. He knew how scared
Again, you
I
don't
was.
have to lie to him.
But he started going Candyman, and then he started running out the door, turned off the lights, and just held the door closed as I just went, no! Like I was so frightened, not to know that I could just turn on the light and everything would be fine.
Isn't Pierce Brosnan in Candyman?
Ooh, I don't think
No,
so.
he's in the dark half.
Oh, the dark half. Yes, he is in
Yeah,
the dark
he is
half.
in the dark half.
When we went to the Universal horror thing, we went with some people, and one of the people we went with was a friend of a friend, and we were talking about the Candyman thing, and she had said that, have you ever done the Candyman? Because I've done it, and I've seen him twice.
Oh, geez.
And dead serious.
Come on.
And
It's just Ghost of Mary. It's the same thing. It's the
Bloody Mary.
Bloody
Another
Mary, yeah,
version,
yeah.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was Bloody Mary. But she said that she had seen her twice, and at one time she had been scratched by her. And that's when, you know, like when you're with a bunch of people and you go, oh.
Yeah.
You're the crazy one.
You're the crazy one.
I'm due back on Earth.
Yeah. Where do you hold your meetings? On Mars.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot
Speaking
to
of Ghost of Mr. Trigger.
Yeah, on Mars. Attaboy, Luther. Do
I-
calm and murder go together? Murder and calm? Calm and murder?
It was a squirrel. It was a squirrel.
Elmer Weems, you're dead. Oh, it's such a beautiful movie.
Yeah.
One thing I watch every Halloween, I watch It's the Great Pumpkin, which despite my deep love for it, gives me tremendous melancholy because it is so evocative of my childhood. And it honestly looks like where I grew up. You know, a little town in New England, those skies. It just is very like, that was kind of my experience. And it is just like talking to a ghost of somebody that's gone. It's like, yeah, that's gone. And the music is just so beautiful. And I watch Plan 9 and or Ed Wood.
Well, I watch Ed Wood throughout the
year,
Yeah.
right?
Constantly.
I had to stop watching it because I didn't want to ruin it. I want to make it special.
Yeah.
It's hard to ruin it though because it's so
good.
There's so much
it's
great stuff.
It's my comfort place now. You know, when I'm having trouble going to sleep, there's a site, listentoamovie.com. You can just pull up audio of a lot of different movies. I just pull it up and I put it on, and Deanna's now into it as well. I hope. But
at least that's what she says.
It's
I take
nice. I do
when
that.
I have trouble sleeping. I take a massive dose of Klonopin.
But it's because I know the movie so well, and it's such an important thing to me that I am able to just visualize what's happening with having my eyes closed, and it just kind of puts me to sleep. It's my favorite movie of all time, and it's weird because you guys are kind of the only other people that I've met that get it, but usually the reaction I get is like, "Oh, okay, yeah, that is pretty
That's fun."
Yeah, but I don't think they. I don't know.
I actually cried at the end. Oh God, which I did do
It's
at the end
touching.
of My Dog Skip. When Skip couldn't get up on the bed, forget it.
That commercial, that dog food commercial, where it's
I don't wanna know
it's a
it.
puppy at first, and then there's it's like the puppy can't make it. Like the girl and the puppy are running up the stairs. She beats the puppy, and then all of a sudden the dog's normal age. It beats her real fast at the top, and then all of a sudden she's a woman and she's an adult, and then the dog can't make it to the top of the stairs as fast as it used to.
Yeah, and then the next one, she's an old woman on assisted living, and she's eating the dog and lasagna.
Join me.
But yeah, no, it is. It's like I wanted to keep it special, like so I watch it like once a year or something. But it is. I remember when it came out, it really did define who I was. It's like I'm the kind of guy that's into this,
Yeah.
It's like I love Drew Friedman comics,
Right.
Like I'm not stylish, It's like this is my sort of niche. I am talking to Scott Alexander, Larry Karaszewski. One of the cool things about being in show business is when Ed Wood came out, a movie that totally enthralled me, I look at it, those guys must be awesome. And then I met people that knew you, and then I ended up getting to know you. And now, I hope I'm not being too presumptuous, I would consider you friends, friendly acquaintances. And that's one of the cool things about show business.
I say friends.
I would say friends.
If I go someplace and you're there, I'm very happy to see you, and I will spend the entire evening talking about Planet of the Apes with you.
Exactly. So you make Ed Wood, who is famous for making Plan 9 from Outer Space, which is famous for being the worst movie ever made. It is by far not the worst movie ever made. I don't think. I find it endlessly entertaining, which to me is the definition of a good movie. I'm not calling it a good movie, but the biggest crime a movie can make is boring.
Right. I mean, I think that's our feeling, too, is that the worst movies ever made are the movies that are just dull or...
The Postman.
Yeah. But Ed was following his own heart. I mean, Ed was trying to make a movie that pleased himself. You know, he was obsessed with these weird things, and sometimes they don't seem to go together.
Right.
And it was very easy to make fun of these things at a certain point. You know, always the transvestite, all that kind of thing.
Right.
So I think that's why the cult of Ed Wood as the worst director of all time grew, because it was an easy target for laughs.
Yeah.
But if you actually watch the films, they're not the worst movies ever made.
No, in terms of...
You'd rather watch Plan 9 than Stanley and Iris.
Yes.
Well, yeah. It's a bukkake of technical inefficiency. I literally would say, like, there's so many other movies. Out of Africa. Much worse than Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Well, also, I'd say one of the things I think we're really proud of is that, there's a generation now of people who see our movie first before they see Ed Wood's movies.
Absolutely.
And if you know the Ed Wood story and you actually start watching something like Glenn or Glenda, it's no longer a ridiculous film. It feels like a personal statement. It feels like a guy literally bearing his soul on the screen.
Yeah, Glenn or Glenda even more than Plan 9.
Right, because Glenn or Glenda is not a genre movie. Glenn or Glenda is just, if it's a genre movie, it's that sort of mom and dad sexual education film.
Yeah.
From
More of a think piece.
Yeah.
I think you, Scott, I think it was you who said it's a different movie every 5 minutes. Like Glenn or Glenda has. First it's this, then it's that, then it's a documentary, then it's a dramatization, then, it's...
It's amazing that George Weiss just sort of let Ed put the movie together that way.
Yeah, go ahead.
He needed 7 reels of something to go sell. It does have what is it?
Yeah. And then there's the other version that has just burlesque footage cut into it. And it's sort of a testimony to the elasticity of the film that you're going to go, I guess this is what's in next. Yeah.
It doesn't stand out. It's like, all right, sure.
Well, I remember watching Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me. And I put that in the same drawer with Glenn or Glenda. It's like, now there's a monkey, now there's a midget eating corn, and okay, whatever you want to put on. Yeah, Lost Highway. Okay, whatever. Buildings blowing up backwards.
Certainly all the Bella stuff in Glenn or Glenda, the pull the strings and the buffalo running and all that kind of stuff, it is very David Lynchian.
Yeah, but with David Lynch, it's art, and with Ed Wood, it's like, well, it's just garbage. He was just trying to fill up. Yeah, it's just filler. Yeah, at a certain point you go...
Well, Lynch is trying to be surreal.
Yeah, that's probably a well observed.
Yeah. It wasn't an accident.
Yeah.
Ed is just gluing shots together.
And the other thing about the movie that I really love is it's very sweet in that he had a very tragic life. He drank himself to death.
Yeah.
Yes.
I believe he died on David Coe's couch, if I'm not mistaken.
Peter Coe.
Peter Coe.
Get your Coes right.
You're totally
Get
wrong.
your Coe's right. Peter Tork's couch. I think I know what I'm talking about.
A lot of people died on Peter Tork's couch.
But a lot of people's dreams died on Peter Coe's couch. But the movie doesn't go there. It just kind of ends with him on an up note, which is very sweet.
Yeah, we were always trying to find, when we do our movies, I think in general our movies, even the characters are kind of weird and offbeat, I think they come across kind of sweet. I mean, good-natured. And we always try to find the way to get out of the movie on some kind of up note. Like, why is this person remembered? And Ed's remembered for what you introduced him as, the guy who made the worst movie of all time.
Right.
And so that is why he's remembered. So we're going to look at that as his triumph.
Do you have an opinion of the worst movie of all time?
I used to always say there's a John Wayne movie, an anti-communist John Wayne movie. And what's the title? It's with Jim Arness. I'm big Jim McClane. It's actually called Marijuana Everywhere Else in the World because they actually, when they dubbed the film, they take out all the anti-communists and they're busting drug dealers.
Reefer stick salesmen.
Yeah, exactly. But that movie is similar to Glenn or Glenda in that it changes format like 5 or 6 times, like in the first 15 minutes. It's narrated by Harry Morgan for a while, or he's talking about patriotic things. Then it goes to like sort of like a dragnet kind of thing happening, and there's a bunch of, and you're just like, what the heck is this movie? And then it just tramples over the Bill of Rights. I mean, there's lots of just stuff, but him and James Arness like eavesdropping on people, and they think it's funny, like, hey, listen to the sexy girl next door.
Well, that's one of the great things about Dragnet is to hear them fulminate about the Miranda Act. Now we have to read them. But literally, like for a year, it was just, now we got to read them their rights. And if we forget, they walk. And Scott, do you have a movie that you just think is the worst movie I've ever made?
Just off the top of my head, just because it was such a terrible viewing experience, I got to go with but this is just for today.
Yeah.
For today, I'll say this is Cinerama.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Which is excruciating. Also, it's a good movie to badmouth because it actually doesn't have any actors or director.
Right.
Yeah. So it's not like I'm not really offending anyone.
Nobody's going to get upset.
But when they made a new print and then they showed it at the Cinerama Dome, and I was really, really excited. Uh-huh. And I booked my reserved seats and I took all my kids. And my son got so angry at how bored he was that
I remember this night.
And he's a very nice kid. He turned himself upside down in his chair so that his head was on the floor and his ass was like up in the air, sort of just to show his contempt for the movie. And I kept saying, "Stop! You can't do that. You can't do that." Now I said, "We're not leaving. I've waited my whole life to see this. I know it's terrible, but we're going to make it to the end because this is the only time I'm ever going to see this is Cinerama." And he got very angry and he shouted, "This movie is worse than Dust, and you're worse than Dust." Right. And it's the cruelest thing he's ever said to me.
You're worse than Dust.
You're worse than
All
Dust.
because of Lowell Thomas.
Right.
And your experience of seeing the movie is also such a big part of it. That's like, I remember going to see Twin Peaks, Fire Walk with Me. I was such a fan of that show because it could be really creepy and it could be really funny. and that is those so rarely work in tandem. That I was such a fan, and that movie, I remember like you just kept wanting it to be better.
Yeah.
And like, oh please, it was just one of those, such a frustrating experience. And the other one, I remember going in with very low expectations and having them met, was when I went to see The Phantom Menace, which, because I had heard, you can tell a minute into that.
Well, the opening crawl.
It's just wrong. Yeah, you just know. It was like the...
Oh, it's about all the interstate trade laws.
It's about tax routes.
Yeah, it was all about tax routes.
I'm trying to think of other really, really bad movies.
There's
my problem is
The
that
Postman. Might I once again bring
I haven't
up The
seen
Postman?
it. I can't comment.
Well, The Postman is more of a frustrating movie because I think when you watch The Postman, I think there's a gem of an idea there.
Sure.
And so it's actually pretty. You're seeing it kind of being done in a sincere way when it should be. The Postman should have been played by Bill Murray. It should have been. It should have been like he's doing it as a lark, and he stumbles into this way that he actually recreates society.
That is a weird thing when you get to the end of the movie and you go, oh, you know what would have been great for this movie? That's
well, that is why movies that are almost good are sometimes more frustrating than movies that are actually terrible, because you're watching kind of a ball being fumbled. And it winds up being a frustrating experience as opposed to, oh, this movie's crap and I can just enjoy it on a different level.
Yeah, exactly. Now, you guys met at USC?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We met actually talking about bad movies. I believe the New Art was going to run a bunch of Herschel Gordon Lewis movies.
Very good.
And there was like, they really didn't play Los Angeles. And I'd grown up in the Midwest and I'd seen these movies. And somehow I found out Scott was a film major and we started talking. And he probably brought it up. And I saw them. He's like, you saw these movies?
Yeah, I had only read about them.
Yeah, so I was like, we met actually talking, and we became friends talking about Herschel Gordon Lewis.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, and people forget, like, you had to wait to see a movie.
Oh, yeah.
It was like seeing a deer. It's like you had to wait for it. You know? It's like...
I am Dracula. I bid you welcome.
And with those words, Bela Lugosi became a star and was simultaneously typecast for the rest of his life. Born Bela Blasko in Hungary in 1882, think about that. He was literally born during cowboy times. Bela had a pretty interesting life. He served in the Austro-Hungarian army during World War I. He was a captain in the ski patrol. That's pretty cool. Hurt his back pretty badly. That would come back to haunt him. We'll get into that. Bela later became an actor and an activist, becoming very involved in the Actors' Union in Hungary, which is why, a couple years later, during the Hungarian Revolution, he had to get the hell out of there. He ended up in America, where he made his Broadway debut in 1922 in a play called The Red Poppy. Ironic, as opiates would feature quite prominently later in life. See Injury, Back.
Aren't you drinking? I never drink. Why?
But even if he did, it would have been the least of his problems, as you're probably putting together by now. In 1927, Bela was tapped to play the lead in a brand new Broadway play based on a Victorian novel called Dracula. The play was a smash, and Lugosi won rave reviews. Hollywood noticed. Universal Studios bought the rights to the play and announced they were going to make a movie out of it. And who would star in that movie? Would it be the man who starred in the play, who inhabited the role and made it his own? Of course not. Universal wanted a star. So they told the man slated to direct the film, Paul Lenny, go get Lon Chaney, one of the biggest stars of the day. But then, Paul Lenny died. And a new director was brought in, Todd Browning. Todd had someone in mind for the role, an actor he'd worked with several times before. Did that actor's name by chance rhyme with Bela Lugosi? No. It was the aforementioned Lon Chaney. Everybody wanted Lon Chaney. Lon Chaney was huge. Go muck yourself, Bela Lugosi. But then, Lon Chaney also died. Maybe he wanted to be just like Paul Lenny. The role finally went to Bela. The film became a huge hit, and Bela quite naturally assumed he would go on to parlay his suave manner and continental bearing and become the next Rudolph Valentino. But Universal didn't see it exactly that way. With Lon Chaney dead, they fancied Bela to become the next big horror star. So they offered him the title role in a new film they were doing called Frankenstein. And he said no. Muck moo, Mooniversal, said Mella. Instead, he took the lead in a foggy little potboiler called Murders in the Rue Morgue, which has nothing to do with the Edgar Allan Poe story, but does have Bela playing a mad scientist who kidnaps women and injects them with the blood of a gorilla. You know, that old story. Apparently hoping to create succulent she-gorillas, because Lord knows there's no way to find them in nature. The role of the Frankenstein monster that Bela turned down went to a then unknown British actor named William Henry Pratt. William Pratt had by that time changed his name to Boris Karloff, and that, as they say, is that. Bela worked primarily in horror movies throughout the 30s and 40s, and he did a lot of good work. He's great in White Zombie. He's really great in Son of Frankenstein. But you all know this. As the 40s wore on and horror films went out of vogue, work became harder and harder to find. In addition to the thick Hungarian accent that Bela never lost, he'd become addicted to painkillers. That old back injury from World War I never went away. As he grew older, he became increasingly dependent on methadone and morphine. He spent the late 40s and early 50s largely on the road, doing drugs and vaudeville. Newspaper advertisements for local theaters of the time announced, "From Hollywood, Bela Dracula Lugosi and his horror and magic show." Oy. Puppet show and Spinal Tap. Now, this is right around the time that Bela Lugosi met Ed Wood, the so-called worst director of all time. Old, tired, and addicted to morphine, Bela starred in Glen or Glenda, Ed Wood's schizophrenically off-the-rails attempt to explain his penchant for cross-dressing to a hostile world. A hostile world that, in the movie, is watched over by an apparently omniscient Bela Lugosi, who pops in every 3 or 4 scenes, sitting in what can only be described as a spooky library/Halloween decoration store. He watches the action below and says stuff like,
Beware, beware. Beware of the big green dragon that sits on your doorstep. He eats little boys. Puppy ducktails and big fat snails. Beware. Take care. Beware.
Okay. One has to wonder what was going through his mind at that time. Actually, you don't have to wonder. Watch Ed Wood. Written by Scott Alexander and Larry Karaszewski and directed by Tim Burton, there's a scene where Lugosi, played by Martin Landau, who deservedly won an Oscar for his efforts, is filming a scene from Ed Wood's Bride of the Monster in the middle of the night, standing in a freezing lake, wrestling a rubber octopus, thinking of what might have been. Bela's facade cracks just a little bit.
You know I turned down Frankenstein.
What?
After I did Dracula, the studio offered me Frankenstein, and I turned it down. The part wasn't sexy enough. Too degrading for a big star like me.
Bela, I have 25 scenes to shoot tonight.
Sorry, don't let me slow you down.
Ironically, in certain circles, Bela is almost as well known for being in Ed Wood movies like Plan 9 from Outer Space as he is for being Dracula. But there is another movie he's in, not as well known but every bit as strange. A movie that must be seen to be believed. Bela Lugosi meets a Brooklyn gorilla.
Bela Lugosi finds the perfect subject to turn a gorilla into a goof. And versa versa.
What are you trying to tell me? I don't understand a word. What am I, dumb or something? Don't answer that.
The film stars Bela, and if you weren't paying attention, you would swear it also starred Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis. It was 1952. They were at the height of their fame, cranking out movies. But in fact, it is the Jerry Lewis and Dean Martin look, sound, and act-alike comedy team of...
Duke Mitchell and Sammy Petrillo.
Who?
Duke Mitchell and Sammy Petrillo.
Bela Lugosi and the freakishly Martin and Lewis-esque comedy team of Duke Mitchell and Sammy Petrillo. And who better to tell us that story than our own Scott Alexander?
Fantastic story. Sammy was, I'm going to say he was 16, maybe 17, but I'll say 16. He gets a haircut and his friends go, "Oh my God, you look just like Jerry Lewis, who at the time was the biggest comedy star in the world." And you cannot overstate how big Jerry was.
This is at a time when there's no modern analogy to how big,
how multimedia
he was at that time.
Right.
Yeah.
And there would be people outside the hotels waiting for. I mean, he was gigantic.
You know, I'm trying to think of who in show business now you could even equate to that level of fame. There isn't.
I mean, Michael Jackson at his prime.
Yeah, really, like Michael Jackson at his prime. Michael Jackson in 1985.
Madonna, Justin Bieber. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like, but it was like Jerry Lewis was that big.
Sammy, he's a New York kid. He goes and buys a weekly variety, and he reads that Milton Berle is in. I hope I'm getting the story right. He reads that Milton Berle is in town rehearsing a show. Sammy crashes the theater, gets himself backstage, and he does a Jerry impression for Berle. Berle is blown away. He says, "Oh, Jesus Christ, I look just like him." And he picks up a phone, and he calls Jerry, who is at some hotel. And he basically gets Jerry in a room with Sammy. And Jerry just cannot believe this. And it really...
Jerry loves it.
Jerry loves it. It is uncanny. Their TV show, the Colgate Variety Hour, I think it was, playing a younger version of himself. And it's a small bit, and the audience goes crazy. And per the stories, Jerry doesn't quite like how good it goes over.
I would imagine.
and Sammy's the thing is, even, my God, I mean, Jerry was so young when he became star. I mean, Jerry's probably 25 or 26 at the time.
Yeah.
Sammy's 16. They're both pretty young guys. But Jerry sort of says, "All right, well, the bit was funny, but you're done." Sammy ends up being picked up by a very, 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 very low-budget Hollywood producer named Jack Broder, who's sort of a manager-producer who figures out he can do a fake Martin and Lewis movie. He finds a singing Italian guy.
Duke Mitchell.
Not
Everyone knows that.
Not
Yeah.
Dean Martin, Duke Mitchell.
Yeah.
The exact same initials.
No one knows who Sammy Petrillo is. Everyone knows who Duke Mitchell is.
And they basically come out to Hollywood, and they first they hit the nightclub circuit, and Sammy's high school age, and then they make this movie, Bela Lugosi Meets a Brooklyn Gorilla, and again, ladies and gentlemen, just go to YouTube. Even the trailer. The trailer is actually a really good greatest hits of the movie. Sammy's Jerry is uncanny.
Yeah.
And the problem was that most audiences who saw the trailer, saw the movie, probably thought they were looking at Jerry Lewis.
Yeah.
It really is hard to tell the difference.
And when you go to YouTube and look at Bela Lugosi Meets a Brooklyn Gorilla, it is freakish that you're not looking at Jerry Lewis, and that this guy who's just so blatantly doing Jerry Lewis that there was no way to copyright a persona.
But Lewis blows a gasket.
As well he should.
and he's also he's the biggest, he's Paramount's biggest money maker.
Yeah.
I mean, they are such a big deal, and there's a lot of stories.
It would be like in 1966, a band came about called The Other Beatles, and it was just,
And so, depending on which version of the story you go with, Lewis tries to have the negative burned before the film is released, or Lewis puts in a call to Hal Wallace, who calls up Jack Broder, who produced the Cheapo movie, and says, "All right, how much to kill your film? How we want to throw it into a furnace."
Yeah.
And there's a lot of haggling and fuck you kind of things that go down. And finally, the movie gets released, and nobody really sees the movie. And then Sammy just sort of gets blacklisted, and then Sammy can't get work. And Sammy is, for the era, is a very just, funny, burlesque kind of comedian.
Well, he's doing Jerry Lewis. I mean, it's basically he can't. If any nightclub wants to maybe get the chance of booking Jerry Lewis, is not going to book this kid who's doing an imitation of him.
Yeah, you do have to come up with your own thing.
At the end of the day, there's a limited market.
And Sammy really just gets a couple more gigs, and then he ends up most notoriously working a day on a Doris Wishman nudist camp movie.
That's right.
In the 70s, and then that's really his career.
If you haven't seen Bela Lugosi Meets a Brooklyn Gorilla, you should. If you haven't seen Tim Burton's Ed Wood, you should. Or maybe you'd like to read the oral history of the Ed Wood scene compiled by Rudolph Gray, The Nightmare of Ecstasy. Or maybe you'd like to read the crazy story of Dracula's director that I didn't even get into, but I promise I will on a future show. Todd Browning. That guy was a freak. And there's a book about him called Dark Carnival. For all of this stuff, DVDs, books, go to danagould.com. Click on our Amazon link and go to Amazon. You'll get what you need. You spend not 1 penny more than you would, but Amazon kicks us back a little something, if not much, enough to keep the lights on.
Beware. Beware. Beware.
Jonah Ray, raised in Hawaii. Now, they don't have Halloween in Hawaii.
They do. We do celebrate it.
No, that's not true.
No, I think he's right.
No, when you hear the palm fronds crunching under your bicycle as you're riding your bike to school, and there's pumpkin-flavored lattes at the Starbucks, you know it's Halloween time.
How many pineapples can be put in a Halloween bag before it's just full?
Just the one?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird watching all the Halloween specials and movies and stuff like that where, you could see the breath coming out of someone's mouth and, just the way everything looks. But for us, it was still just about, Hawaii is really drenched in a lot of spooky stories. And so a lot of that is incorporated into, just like...
About you being slaughtered by white people?
Yes. Yeah. But
those are just wives' tales.
There's a lot of the Hawaiian lore, Pele, the fire god.
Yeah, sure.
And there's also, there's night marchers. Night marchers was a very scary problem for me as a kid.
Oh, Night Marchers. There's your movie. It's the sequel to Toy Soldiers.
If you slept with your feet towards a door, that means that the night marchers that are coming down the streets would be able to come in and steal your soul while you're sleeping. And if they don't return it by the time you wake up, you die in your sleep.
So it's on them. It's a whim of whether they like.
It's like if they're on the other side of the island, like, I don't know if we can make it back before 7.
There's an odd version of that in Christianity or Catholicism, which was the prayer we had to say every night, which was, "Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I should die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take." So it's a roll of the dice.
Yep.
I'm 6. I could go at any minute.
Yeah.
It's God, I hope I don't die in my sleep.
Yeah. Every morning it was just... Made it.
That's true. Every morning was like Scrooge waking up. It's Christmas Day. It's Christmas Day. I didn't die. Oh shit! I have a math test.
There was a lot of that in Hawaii though. Just you were convinced that you're going to be killed. Like if you're going over, the Pali Highway, and it's a very haunted area. If you see a woman in Hawaii, do not stop for her because she is a demon and she will kill you.
Is that like La Llorona?
I don't know what that is.
La Llorona is a Latin American wives' tale about a woman whose children drowned, and she haunts this lake.
She haunts Universal Studios
to mourn them and find their soul. And
I think she killed herself, and she's like a weeping
ghost.
Ghost.
Yeah, I don't
really
know
creepy.
it specifically, but we went last night to Universal Studios Halloween Haunt, and there's a wonderful La Llorona maze. But the part of the maze that really bummed me out was the realistic 2 dead floating kids in a lake.
Oh, yes, I remember that maze. That was there last year.
That's no fun.
It's a bit much.
Yeah, that's not...
For us, it's fun because we don't have to.
Exactly.
We don't have to project our own kids into that situation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
I was just impressed by the workmanship.
And I've been around so long, I'm like, this used to be the Buffy maze.
That's changed here. Oh, this used to be that Buffy maze.
Yeah. Before that, it was the Patty Duke maze.
Yeah. Things sure are different here on Haunted Stage 2. Back in the Buffy maze, there were 8 different actors playing Angel, popping out at you at different times. Then before that, it was the Night Stalker phrase with a very realistic Simon Oakland accosting you before you walked in.
It's weird when you go to the haunted houses and the guys get close to you. It's less that I'm scared and more just uncomfortable with that close of an interaction.
Right. So it's all about invading your personal space.
I shut down. Go. Please don't. Please don't. Just stop. I'm not scared. You're not doing anything besides making me uncomfortable.
Yeah. Have you guys gone to the close talker maze?
Just another human being just close.
Yeah.
I don't like that in any situation.
I remember when it was the Buffy maze, I went with my wife and her sister. And I think that was the last time my wife, it was finally we had been together long enough where she went, I don't like these things.
Yes. I've only been with Deanna almost 3 years and she's already...
Women don't like men jumping out at them in the dark.
No.
I don't know why. It's lost on me.
Yeah.
But my sister-in-law, who's really, really funny, whenever somebody would jump out and scare her, she would go, very
Very effective spookery.
And then we get separated in the maze, and then from like 100 yards over, I just hear,
Very effective.
I do that too. If they do the thing where they jump out and I go, ah, like I go, ah, yeah.
Yeah.
You did it.
I think they appreciate that.
I've really gotten to the point where I can't be scared anymore in these mazes. I still love them.
I still love them.
What
too,
about the
yeah.
jump scares?
I can be
None of it does
I
it
can be
anymore.
startled. And the Chucky one?
Yeah.
There was
Yeah.
a Chucky maze.
There's a Chucky section in the
which,
Universal
where was that?
Classic Monsters maze.
Classic Monsters.
That's the one Deanna
Yeah.
cannot do.
And that
Oh,
was
it's
great
great.
because
It's
they
great.
had a little person.
Yes, I saw that
Yeah, yeah.
person last night.
And I did not see that coming.
Because you thought it was
my
just a
mind,
doll.
I was out
But it's
here
also
and-
a horrible throwback. You know, little people used to be sold to carnivals and circuses, and
Why
it
has
just
that
made
changed?
me feel bad. It just made me feel bad. You don't have to do this.
Yeah.
It's like saving a stripper. I can help you. Come home with me.
You know, the last San Diego Comic-Con, The Walking
What's
Dead.
I've never heard of that.
What's that? I go to the chick convention that's held at the same time.
I get all the pussies.
I went to the guys getting blown convention.
Yeah.
It's at this bar called the Lumberjack. They put a mask on you. Oh, Jesus, no. Oh, Jesus, that's not me.
It's 10 days.
And then at the end of the day, they just tell you, it was all dudes. Wah, 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 wah.
Take what I can get.
Can't take the blowjob back.
But yeah, I did the bystander pass for that thing.
So you watched?
I watched it, yeah.
You watched a bunch of people like me because it's a mile. You end up basically running for a mile.
The Walking Dead.
The Walking
zombie
Dead
run,
zombie run at Petco Park. All
And did
around
you
the
do
side
it?
of it. Yeah, I did it.
Oh, wow.
And it destroyed me.
Just because of the running, or
Yeah, because you're not only running, but you're running, trying to plan which way you're going to run, a lot of dodging, and these people are just trying to grab at you.
Yeah.
And I actually did better than I thought I would. I jumped over a hood of a car. I slid underneath this thing and
Wow,
popped up.
nice.
I was doing some amazing things that I didn't know.
Wow, I would love to do that.
Yeah,
but what
it
do they
was-
do if they catch you?
Well, what they
Tickle.
You know, it's weird because they
They switch from zombies to tickle monsters.
Yeah, exactly.
Now I am a tickle monster.
what I
It
said
becomes
earlier.
Postman's Knock.
I didn't know because I didn't even get touched. I was actually I was very proud
Is
of
that how they
myself.
score it,
That's
though?
my same
Yeah.
story of being an altar boy in the Boston Archdiocese. Always the bridesmaid,
You
never
win.
the bride.
Perfect score.
That's a good maze.
They had gloves on that would leave a residue, and then at the very end of it, you go through a contamination.
Contamination. It's an
My
animation.
favorite type of Japanese
It's
animation.
It's the animation studio in Chernobyl, Russia.
I'm trying to say that I can.
Contamination.
Contamination. What was
Nuclear contamination.
cantankerous. But you go through this thing, it's all black light, and then you could see if anybody touched you. You could see
I see.
handprints, and I was completely
It's sort of
clean.
like a Mike Tyson cum light, only with zombies.
Is
For
that
those
the
of you who
light- is that
don't
the light
know-
you shine at Mike Tyson to make him come over here?
No, that was in the Mike Tyson rape trial where they had the comforter from the hotel. And if you shine a black light on a comforter, anything that's translucent, like male semen, will show up. And they showed that there was a lot of male semen on comforters. And then people started to realize that there's a lot of male semen on all hotel comforters.
On everything in a
yeah,
hotel.
you can't really
That's
think
why
about
I
it.
never get a black light near my cat. Just
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
The name of this episode is, of course, Matt's Jizz-Covered Cat. Oh, good Christ.
Presented in contamination.
That was the end.
Contamination.
Contamination.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
But now, so because you didn't get any hands on you, do you win something, or is like you get a?
There's a satisfaction that that your entire childhood thinking that you'd be good at this and you are. That's a great feeling. I still have.
I will survive the zombie
Yeah,
apocalypse.
it's
I would have been the Vichy French. I can tell you who they all are.
It was really intense. You're climbing over chain link fences. You're going
Wow,
down
that's
stuff.
impressive.
I totally threw a guy under the bus. Like there's this big slide
As you
going
would in
down.
real life, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We're going down this huge like slope, and I notice a zombie coming up from the side. And I just stop myself, and then the guy goes down in front of me, and then he gets hit by the zombie, and then I jump
great.
off the side and run away.
I want to do that now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Did any
it's-
of the bystanders help you? Because we were helping people that were like, jump on top, go on top.
No.
Can't you just do the same thing by just driving down to like Compton, shouting a racial slur and running?
That's a bit different. Zombies don't have guns. You could though go down to Skid Row and just tie a bunch of money and Cheetos packages to you, and then just kind of wait for it.
What am I going to do with all this tequila?
Yeah, they are doing. I think up in Washington, they're going to be doing like a zombie 1K or whatever. But it's you're going
really
through mud and you have tags.
Zombie 1K in the mud.
Yeah.
No, that's actually monster trucks.
Yes. Yeah.
That sounds like a thing you can do year round. I kind of like it.
I think you can do these Halloween mazes year round.
I think there is one in L.A. now. There's one that you can rent out for parties. Yeah, like somewhere in L.A. County.
Why are we doing that?
Exactly where.
Why are we doing that right now?
Halloween year round.
Patton Oswalt had a bit, and I'm not going to remember it correctly, but he was talking about how goths want Halloween year round, and he just went on this. You're missing the point. It was really funny. One day he'll come on and do it. What as a kid was your favorite, like, top costume? This costume was awesome.
As a kid?
Yeah.
It was probably, I would always end up just doing something and then being dead or fucked up. And I was a clown. My whole idea was that I was killed, and then the guy who killed me made me into a clown.
Wow.
Yeah, so like I had
high concept.
a cut throat and just dead makeup, and then on top of that real sloppy clown makeup that someone put on me, and then normal clothes, but then a clown outfit.
Did you have any costumes that did not require a libretto?
And this is when you were 5?
Yeah. No, this is
I did see the Little Mermaid zombie one year. That really made me laugh. It was a great combination. A little girl, but also a zombie. I thought that was really
one of my
cool.
favorites.
Fork stuck in her hair.
I saw a few years ago Anne Frankenstein.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was pretty good.
I'm Carly Ostromsky, Henry Kissinger.
Yeah. Did you guys' parents dress up?
No.
My parents did up until I was probably 6. I remember the last time they did it. It was fun. My dad was just this Rambo guy, and my mom was just a
Did he dress like Rambo?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Because of my daughter, my 3-year-old, I already have my costume for this year. So I'm going as a banana this year, as is the request of my 3-year-old daughter. But because I'm going to be walking around. I don't like it when your costume is about how clever your parents are.
Yeah.
I'm the deficit. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot of fun. Yeah.
I'm Picasso's blue period. You don't know about that. You're 9. Go eat shit. Become a monster and come back. I'll give you a Zagnut, you fuckhole.
Did your mom and dad make you dress up that way? Oh, you mean Cheryl and Steven? That's what they like me to call them. It's progressive.
Yeah, exactly. You're the reason people become Republicans. That's horrible. I have a very, very fond memory of a costume, and I would give my eye teeth to have it or even a photo of it. I was a Wolfman freak as a kid.
Me too.
I really spent a lot of people growing up where I grew up wanted to be Karl Ostromsky. I really wanted to be the Wolfman. I related to I've talked about this on the podcast before. I related to him. I was Catholic. I was full of guilt and shame. I get you.
Yeah.
I know you.
Were you impatiently waiting for puberty?
I was
come on, hair.
I'm Black Irish, so I went through puberty at 4. But remember those masks that were just an expressionless face, almost like the Guy Fawkes mask?
Oh, yeah.
The see-through mask?
Yeah. Pretty creepy. Actually.
Yeah, very creepy.
My mom bought me one of those at Woolworths, and she painted the nose brown and the cheeks brown and then cut up the fur collar of her, vicuna coat.
Wow.
And made a Wolfman mask.
Wow.
Fantastic.
That's a nice mom.
And then, it was amazing. And then put fangs in the mouth, and that was my costume. And I would love to still have that or a photo of it.
Yeah.
My lamest costume was the last year I went trick-or-treating, which I talked about last week, was the year I got busted for shoplifting during the afternoon. Me and my friends went out as the Hogan's Heroes guys, but on a mission. Everybody in black stocking caps, black turtleneck, and black pants.
Which
Not
one were
just
you?
Hogan's Heroes. I was Bob Crane. I was actually having sex with William Dafoe and 2 stewardesses.
Did you continue throughout your young adulthood to dress up for Halloween? Did all of you guys continue?
I took a break for a while, and then I went back
You did?
into it, yeah.
Yeah, around 16, it's that awkward. I'm actually writing a thing about that. Like that, your transition year when you're too young to really go trick-or-treating, but you're too old to do anything else. That's a very bittersweet year.
Yeah, because you can't go to a party.
Yeah, and I wanted to make a movie about it this year, and I pitched it, and it was going, and then they said, well, there's this thing called Funsized that might negate it, and then I saw the trailer for Funsized, and it was like, oh, that's not the same thing. I hope Funsized is great, and I like the people that made it, but I still wish it was mine.
Yeah. During those teenage years, I would just take one night and just put on a mask and sit in a dark room eating fun-sized candies and just weep.
March 11th.
Yeah.
I go trick-or-treating with 3 bikers around April 12th.
When I stopped trick-or-treating is when I started going to the Halloween mazes, though.
Right. Well, they didn't have Halloween mazes where I grew up.
Yeah, we had a couple out here that were pretty good. There was one insane one at an armory. It started out where you get on a bus, and then you ride the bus to the woods where there's a hotel. And this is all inside a building.
This is a lot like being an archdiocese altar boy. And you
like
breathe a
really
rag.
Elaborate, yeah.
You know the drill.
And then you keep a secret.
They put a secret, and they put it in your bum because it really hurts. The secret of that.
No one will look there.
Barney and Betty Hill are there.
During the middle time is when I just would have friends over to watch spooky movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then when I started going to parties, that's when I started just dressing up again.
That was my criminal period, so none of that was happening.
We would watch Plan 9 from Outer Space and, have a party.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
What did you guys dress up as last year?
It was I've done the Mexican wrestler, Santos.
Lucha Libre?
Yeah. But do you know how when you would see him in the ring, that's one look, and then when he'd be on a case, he'd have his coat and everything. So that was my look. But my best costume, though, was I did the Fly, the classic Fly.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And I made a hand, the Fly hand, and I had a lab coat, and I found this Fly mask, and I used the ends of a plastic brush to make the little fly hairs coming out of it and everything.
Cool.
Yeah.
You must have gotten so much pussy.
Oh my! You would like flies on shit. Yeah. Seriously. But yeah, I went to a party and had that thing on for about 15 seconds.
Yeah, I think it's I remember going to a Halloween party at Rob Schraub's house where he was wearing a upside down fishbowl as a astronaut thing, and after 2 minutes you could see the moisture.
Yeah.
3 minutes later, where's your helmet, Rob? I almost passed out in the kitchen.
I did my gorilla suit once like that and went to a party and ran through it and picked people up and did all this, and then went, I'm going home.
Yeah. I think I just shit my pants.
Which is why comfort is key.
Comfort is key.
Chris Gaines, very comfortable costume.
Well, especially if you're last year I just went nothing because I was with 7 kids. I was like, you're just terrified. You're going to lose somebody.
Herc Harvey last year from Carnival of Souls.
And I have the photo
very easy.
I have the photo on my phone right now.
Wear a suit, paint your face white, you're done.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
It's funny, though, it's a dress up, and then when you lose one of the kids, and you have to be in this ridiculous outfit going, you got to help me.
There's a crying banana over there. I can't find an 8-year-old.
Yeah. I have to go to the bathroom. I'll be back in an hour because that's how long it takes to get this thing
the
off.
whole thing off. Yeah. Last year, I really enjoyed my costume. I was the master from Manos Hands of Fate. I had a cloak with the hands on it. My friend made it.
That's great.
Had just grew out a mustache. And then Deanna, my fiance, was Torgo. So she had the fake beard, the hat, and we would just kind of shuffle around.
Wow.
Yeah. I can find that picture.
This year I'm going as the 4th Doctor, Tom Baker. From
Marcus
Dr.
Welby.
No, my 4th Doctor.
This year
Dr. Adelson.
I'm going as Kevin Tighe from Emergency. I went as the Night Stalker one year. That was good.
That's a good one.
That was good.
Also comfortable.
I'm very comfortable. Captain America. Very comfortable. You got to go for comfort. Yeah, my daughter's friend had a very clever costume. He was Picasso's self-portrait. But he had to walk around all night holding a photo frame, and he couldn't even hold his bag of candy. And after a while, he was like, Mr. Gould, this is really difficult. And I was like, yeah, So we took him back to the car and took off his painting, and he just became a guy kind of painted like Picasso.
Yeah, reap what you sow, kid.
Yeah, reap what you sow.
But how? That's even more terrifying, that the Picasso that has come out of the painting.
Yeah, that's even better.
Yeah.
It's a night gallery.
It certainly sounds like a night gallery where John Saxon plays a Vietnam vet who comes out of a painting. Some night galleries is like Bert Convy is an evil DJ. Terrible ones.
That show Alejandro Ray with the earwig.
Yeah, that show does not hold up.
No.
Better in theory than in practice, the night gallery.
Welcome to Political Talk with two guys from Boston. A working man's look at the socio-political issues of our day. And now, Political Talk with two guys from Boston.
It's a very special Halloween episode of Political Talk with two guys from Boston. I'm Johnny Condon.
Yeah, and I'm Robbie Sullivan.
Today we're working for Bevilacqua Air Condition, Heating, and Cauldron Repair.
We're cool if you're cool.
If you have a newt that needs to be made into a magic potion, call Bevilacqua.
Yeah,
He will put you on hold and forget you.
We'll come right over, but he won't.
Here's the one observation about Halloween I've always had.
Yeah.
It is the very first time children are manipulated by advertising.
Oh, yeah.
You go to the door, what do you want? A candy bar. You don't want any crap. You don't want a Mike and Ike.
I don't want a popsicle.
A Jolly Rancher.
Yeah, you don't want something hard like that.
A nickel.
Yeah, or what's those other things? Good and Plenty.
Good and Plenty. Ticonderoga pencil.
I've had plenty of those. I'm good.
Yeah. Laffy Taffies and Jolly Ranchers.
They don't make me laugh. I'm not jolly when I eat that.
And there's that one where it's, you can't get the paper off.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of them.
What's it, the
They're
nougat
called
thing?
old candy.
Old candy, yeah.
You can't get the paper
Old
off.
candy.
It's right. You still eat it when it's the last thing.
Yeah. This is stuff the gerbil wouldn't eat, so we're giving it to you.
My mother wouldn't eat it, so it's still in my basket.
Here's one. I think my mother uses it to keep her bridge in, but otherwise you can have it.
Yeah, it can hold up the dining room table if you stuck it under.
So you want a candy bar.
Yeah, you do.
And what do you get instead? A tiny piece of a candy bar.
But what do they call it?
Funsized!
Oh, yay!
I thought this was a shitty thing until I read the label. Turns out I'm having fun.
I got a piece of what I wanted.
I got less than I expected and deserved. How fun for me!
I got a fourth of what I used to get.
It's like when you get laid off, they should call it a vacation package. You are going on an adventure.
You're on a fun-sized day off.
Yeah, they're not homeless, they're campers.
Yeah.
Urban campers.
It's going to work out for your whole family. They're going to love having you there with no funds.
I wanted a big Snickers that would last me like 20 minutes instead. 2 bites and I'm done. How fun for me. Do you give more candy if the costume's good?
You know, I've noticed that my aunt, my uncle, my mother all did that, yeah.
Yeah.
They would hold back and then they go, oh,
If
this,
a kid-
this is adorable. Let's get the good bowl.
If a kid is in a box-based costume, if he's a robot or a washing machine or
Anything
a
like
fridge,
that.
anything where a kid's wearing a box,
It's a hit.
I'm like, yeah, you earned it. You're in a box.
Yeah, you worked hard on this.
Yeah, some kid, I'm a baseball player. Fuck you. That's what you wore after school, you jackball.
My mother used to say...
Laffy Taffy, and off the porch.
My mother used to say, oh, this is a day of effort.
Exactly.
Like, you didn't work on this yesterday or
Yeah.
last week. This was a day of effort. Like,
That's the-
what would we end up?
Yeah, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you haven't figured it out.
Yeah.
Hobo!
Yeah, you grab charcoal and your dad's coat.
I'm a hobo.
And hope the two don't meet, but they always do.
You can't even be a hobo now because it's just homeless people.
You
Now
need
you're
a-
just making fun of homeless people.
You need a train and a jug with 3 X's on it now.
Homeless people must love Halloween. They just go to I'm 8 years old, but I'm dressed very convincingly as a 65-year-old pedophile homeless man.
With dark feet. My mother would say, oh, you did a good job.
Oh, look at
My
you.
goodness, even with the smell you put on.
What a scary hobo.
Oh, yeah, that's man fume.
With dark feet, dark leathery feet.
Oh, there's something really scary about your fake feet, sir.
Yes, you even yanked out 7 of your teeth.
Dennis, is that you from up the road?
I know who that is.
Wait a minute.
That's Peter McNichol's son.
Where's your mother? How is your mother, dear?
How's your mother? I heard she was still in a coma.
Does
if
she-
she comes out, here's a 3 Musketeers. Fun size. I'm not a fool.
Did she help you with those dark feet?
Did she paint your feet?
Did she do those nails? It's so real.
Yeah, and then if it's just a princess or a cowboy, yeah, okay.
Yeah, here's the
Hershey's, get out of here.
Yeah.
And I hate people that give out healthy snacks.
Yeah,
Here's
it's
a
not
granola
fair.
bar. Good. Why don't you shove it up your ass and give me a Reese cup, you fun-killing jack-off.
And, if they're not involved at all, that's a big bell that would go off. If we were like 11 or 12, which means you're still in your Halloween period.
Absolutely.
11 or 12 is prime time because you're old enough to walk around alone with your friends.
Exactly.
But you're still young enough to be appreciated on the Halloween trail.
Right, you're not creepy. Your voice
Not
hasn't
yet.
changed. You're not 7 feet tall.
You're months
Trick
away.
or treat.
Yeah, you don't have a beard
You got
yet.
any spare ribs?
Yeah, they don't go, oh, you stippled. It looks so good.
Yeah.
They know it's real at that point.
Yeah. What do you want? A lighter fluid if you have any. I need some oil for my car.
I
If
need
you guys got any
batteries for my flashlight.
guys got any antifreeze in
Yeah,
the garage?
exactly.
That would be awesome if you could just make me a sandwich. I'd love a bowl of chowder.
But if someone doesn't even give nothing on that night, they're going to be involved next year because we're going to egg your house, toilet paper your car. We might even light a bag of something on fire on your doorstep to watch you stamp it out. But then they don't show. They're not even there. They just pretend they're not there.
Some people go out. They can't be home.
Yeah.
They got work or they got.
But if they got no
they
decorations.
got a mother in a nursing home or something. They're
Yeah.
visiting. But people, and we had this Mr. Taft. Mr. Taft at the end
He
of our
hide.
street, who was Boo Radley.
Oh, good for
He
him.
lived at the end of our street. He was sort of half ape, half orangutan,
Whoa.
half man.
No, but would Mr. Taft save a kid if he was behind a tree in a ham suit?
I will tell you a story about how Mr. Taft saved me one time.
Did he really?
Yes. But he would sit in his living room, and you could see him in his living room watching TV, and he would not come to the door.
Not scared of you.
Like, fuck you. And we were 9.
I'm right in the middle of Murder, She Wrote again.
But we used to have to run up on his porch because it was just like Boo Radley. You had to run up on the porch
yeah.
and touch Mr. Taft's door.
Oh, that's
and
great.
one time,
It's a good game.
I don't know how it happened, but my knee got stuck in the slats
Oh, my
of
God.
the fence.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get it out, and I started freaking out. And Mr. Taft came out with a hammer.
No.
Yes. And I thought, I'm going to be eating pudding the rest of my days. I thought he was just going to take my head apart.
Oh, no.
And he just tapped the things. It was like a friendly gorilla came and lifted me away from the dinosaur fight.
Was that a fence trap he had set?
That was a fence trap. Apparently, I was not his kind.
Yeah, I was saying, but maybe this happened all the time. That's how he knew how to get you out.
Yeah, he just tapped them, and I took off like a banshee. I
He
ran.
didn't hit you with it.
No, he got me out, but I was fucking terrified
That
because
is
he is
Boo Radley.
he's a monster.
Yeah.
He lives alone, the end of the street.
Very scary.
Now, in retrospect, as an adult, he was a lonely man sitting in a turducken of grief. His wife had died. He's alone in a house.
Oh.
Yeah.
I just couldn't. I love the turducken term.
He said
That's when you
he said
stick a
tur-
duck inside a turkey and cook them both. Is that right?
I have no idea.
Yeah,
I
that's
just-
what it is.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's at Thanksgiving or whatever, any time of year, really. They have a chick turducken, too.
Let's
you
make
can
for
put-
Halloween. You can make a crow ducken, and you stuff a duck into a crow.
I think that's brilliant.
Crows are the smartest
Oh,
birds.
but not very tasty. They're not
You know
as-
what you call 2 crows sitting together on a fence?
No.
Attempted murder.
Oh, is that
Because
right?
a group of crows is called a murder.
Oh, that's great.
Did you know that?
I did know
A group
that.
of crows is called a murder.
That's wonderful.
A group of deer is a herd.
You know what a group of condors is called?
I do not.
A party.
Really?
Truth.
A group of Harvard undergrads? Douchebags.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
When I was going, I was in the city. I was studying at a school, and there was a bunch of guys that walked by from BU.
Oh, Jesus.
And right before they walked by, I didn't know this was going to happen. I really didn't. But I had sort of gathered up to spit. And I turned and saw these people coming. I thought, oh, I'll spit on the other side of the tree so I don't hit anybody. But right as I did, the largest of all of them, this guy was a mountain, came out from outside the tree, and I spit on his chest. And he punched me in the chest. He punched
You're lucky
me
it was
hard.
in the chest.
Yeah.
I was walking across Harvard Square once and a backpack. I used to work at the Harvard Coop.
Oh, yeah, I know the Coop, sure.
I didn't attend it, but I worked there.
Yeah.
In the stationery department.
What do you mean attend?
I didn't attend Harvard. I worked at their
Oh,
fucking bookstore.
yeah. I worked at the
served
American
them.
Repertory
I
Theater
served
in the
them.
box office. I used to listen to the Sox game in one ear and
I
take
used to
orders.
sell
But go ahead.
hostile Chinese exchange students ballpoint pens that they would pay for with a credit card because it was 79 cents and they didn't speak English and they just grunt at me.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So I'm in there. I'm in Harvard Square. My girlfriend at the time, I had her backpack and she had a pink name tag.
Nice.
I didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I'm
who
walking
cares?
across. I'm standing at the T station. This kid goes, he's with his girlfriend. And he goes, nice name tag. And I ignore him. And he goes, hey, And he looks at the name on the name tag. And he goes, hey, Claire, nice name tag. And his girlfriend's kind of smirking.
Yeah.
And then finally I turn around and I see him, and I make fucking fake hand gestures like I'm deaf, and I go, nice to meet you.
Oh, that's awesome.
Guy felt like his girlfriend hit him in the arm.
Oh,
he was getting them
so
that
good.
night. That's my self-defense. Pretend you're deaf.
I think it's a good
Pretend
one.
you're deaf and friendly. How do we get here from Halloween? Did you ever go out of town? Did you ever trick-or-treat into another town?
We would get driven away from our neighborhood and into someone else's.
Yeah.
And, we always felt like we're not going to get the fun size. We're going to get the real dollar Snickers, the one that's like a huge log of...
The big ones.
It's got peanut meat on it. It's not just peanut. Like, that's what I was saying before. Like, it's got a whole peanut in it. It used to be a handful, a whole peanut. Well, now you're going to...
Now, that would not work on a label. Now with more peanut meat.
But you start picturing, you know what? When we go to that neighborhood, they're going to give us a Matchbox car and and a hat.
Instead.
And a T-shirt.
Yeah. Or you go to like an old lady's house. You ever go to a nursing home? Like, let's go to the nursing home. And then you, one old lady with and it's like a shoebox full of doll heads. Take one. No, we'll all be cursed.
I can't do
Who
it.
wants to touch my bra?
Thank you. My mom won't let me.
Yeah.
I can't have that or the apple with the what do they call it?
Razor blade in it.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. But what do they put all over it?
Oh,
caramel.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And in Boston,
Which
caramel
they
has
can't
no
eat.
R. It's just caramel.
Caramel, and they can't eat it because it takes out their dentures.
Nobody can eat it. That's why they're giving it away.
Who wants to eat fruit on Halloween? It's fucking Halloween. Give the goddamn
pound of caramel.
If nothing else comes from this podcast, just give out fucking chocolate. Don't
give us
out fucking
fruit.
candy. Don't give us fruit. Don't give us fucking baseball cards.
I don't even want a fruit roll-up.
Don't give us fucking. My aunt used to give out Mad Libs.
That's
It'll help with your
retarded.
vocabulary.
Oh, there I said
Go
it.
fuck yourself.
Yeah, they're all
It'll help with your
annoying.
vocabulary. Here's some nails we've never used. I found them in the gutter.
Don't be clever. Give me a Reese's or a Snickers and
Or
shut
something
the door.
cool. Here's a hamster skeleton I found when we tore out that wall. Oh, all right.
Here's a handful of bolts.
Yeah, here's a cat skeleton with a leash still on it. We followed under the floorboards when we put in linoleum. Oh, I'll take that. Did you ever watch that show, Mystery Science Theater?
Oh,
Did
yeah.
you ever watch that?
Oh, I love those
Joel
guys.
Hodgson.
He's
You know
wonderful.
him?
Wonderful.
He's fucking awesome.
He's always been funny.
He's the dick in the balls. And
Wait,
he
what?
said he's the dick in the balls. He's just that good.
Wait, what?
That's
is that a term?
Yeah, that's good.
I never heard
He's the
that.
dick and balls.
I never heard that.
Oh, yeah.
What the hell? What is that from?
He's good.
It seems gay.
It's something from Dorchester. I don't know.
I never heard of that.
No, it's good.
Yeah?
It's not. Yeah, go into Dorchester and tell him it's gay. See what I
won't do
And
that.
tell me who you want me to give your stuff to. But he said one thing, and it always stuck with me, and I salute him on this. Joel Hodgson. Every kid is entitled to an excellent Halloween, and he is correct. Happy Halloween. From Bevilacqua Heating and Air Conditioning, I'm Johnny Condon.
We're cool if you're cool.
Robbie Sullivan.
Political Talk with two guys from Boston.
This would be a nice time to give that movie a shout out. If you're looking for
Please.
a really great movie to watch on Halloween, The Ghost and Mr. Chicken is truly hilarious. If you like the Andy Griffith Show, it's just Don Knotts at his best, very wholesome, very hilarious. The haunted house stuff is very scary, I find.
Yeah, it has something for everybody.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a really
Fun for the whole family.
It suffers its title. It's a really terrific movie. Highly recommended.
Jim
And
Carrey
great
tried to
music.
remake that.
I'm glad he didn't. Nothing
Yeah.
against
Yeah,
Jim
they were
Carrey. The
trying
movie
a
didn't
couple
need to be
times.
remade.
Yeah, leave it alone.
Yeah.
It features the Munsters house. It
Yes.
features much of the cast of
And the Andy Griffith Show.
Griffith Show. It has one of the Darrens.
Mm-hmm.
Is in it?
Yeah.
A lot of
Dick
fun
Sargent is in it.
stuff. What's his name from Star Trek?
Skip Homier.
Yeah.
He was in the 2 episodes.
He was the guy that was the
sure.
Führer in.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
exactly.
right. Yeah.
I believe his
And
name
then
is,
he's
And also the
Homier.
hippie one.
the hippie one, stepping into Eden, Dr.
Yes.
Severinsen.
Right. Well, Dr. Severin was played by Charles
Napier?
Napier, who I worked with a couple times on The Simpsons, who's a nutbird. I think he passed away.
Was also in Blues Brothers, I believe.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
With no fucking teeth.
And that great
what
soundtrack by Vic Mizzy.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Ghost of Mr.
I walked up to Charles Napier when he did The Simpsons. Mr. Napier, really an honor to meet you. I'm a big fan of yours. That's terrific.
I wrote on the music video awards on MTV one year, and
You don't have to lie to impress us.
and at the taping, I saw that Cloris Leachman was there.
Yeah.
And I love Cloris Leachman so much.
What's wrong with that?
What year was this?
This was last year.
Okay.
Yeah. And she's
I
like,
know
there's
what
all
it's
these, like, Snooki is in the room, Beyonce is in the room. It's all these people just kind of waiting for their turn to go on stage and do whatever they need to do. And I was like, oh, man, this is going to be great. I'm going to be the guy that comes up to Cloris Leachman, this young kid coming up to her at this MTV event, and I'm going to say that I'm a fan of hers, and she's going to totally dig it because she was not expecting it. Then I go, Cloris Leachman, hi, my name's Jonah. I'm a really big fan of yours. I really, really love your work. I think you're so funny. And she's like, well, that's very nice. And then just shifted away from me. Fucking bitch.
Pulled down an imaginary shade in front of you.
Yeah.
I was at because my wife is highly placed in show business, I get to go to the Vanity Fair Oscar party every year. But I was walking out, and I literally, you're walking, and I'm crammed against Smokey Robinson. It's like we're making out. And I'm stuck, and I'm right in his face, and I did say, and I meant every word I said, of all the famous people I've met tonight, you're the first person I've met who's important. And he said, thank you, and he gave me this big bear hug, and then it was like, okay. Hug over.
Where you want to hang out? We can sit right here and talk all night. Yeah. I was going to get a drink. Yeah, bring them to me.
I'm going to sing you with Dana loves ginger ale. Yeah, but it was, he is Smokey Robinson.
Yeah.
You got to kind of give him that.
Yeah.
Yeah, most of those things I just want to get in and get out. Any possibility that this could turn bad, I don't want to even exist that.
Really can ruin it
easily. Yeah, especially somebody I like. Like, I remember, this is not somebody that I'm a giant fan of, and this is me actually causing the problem, but John Saxon comes off maybe a little prickly sometimes. And
that's not what I was thinking about A-list.
But I do. I'm a big fan of John Saxon. So I had this lobby card. It was at one of these Egyptian screenings, and I had a lobby card from Queen of Blood.
I'm familiar.
Yes, of course you are.
Queen of There's no country called Blood, man. How can you be the Queen of Blood? This is jibber jabber goofball talk. What's wrong with you?
But yeah, I bring this lobby card to him, and I like, could you please sign this? And he looks at it and he goes, that's not me. I brought him a lobby card, and he was right. It wasn't him. You want me to sign it anyway? Yeah.
You have another great autograph story.
Oh, yeah. At one of these Hollywood collectors shows, they see a table with all these pictures of Stymie from The Little Rascals. And there's a guy sitting at the table who looks like an adult Stymie. And I'm like, wow, I didn't know that Stymie was still around, but hey, all right.
This story is called Accident Waiting to Happen.
So I give him $20, and he signs a picture, and it says, to Matt, from brother of Stymie Beard.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh. And now it has an honored place in my collection.
Yeah. My friend got me Catching the Big Fish, I think, which is the
David Lynch book?
The David Lynch book.
Yeah.
He bought it for me at a bookstore, and then he sees a guy looking at books down the way, and he's like, oh, my God, that's Matt Groening. And he's like, he didn't have much money at the time. He just asked the clerk for a pen, and he goes over. He's like, I'm sorry, it's my friend's birthday today. Would you mind signing this book for him? And so I have a David Lynch book signed by Matt Groening with a drawing of Bart, like saying, yo, Jonah. And it says, I didn't have anything to do with this book, but I'm a huge David Lynch fan.
That's great.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Matt. Matt's a great guy.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and now what I want to do is get a Life in Hell book and try and get David Lynch.
I can do that.
All right, then I'll order one. Hello. I got to meet him once.
Yeah, Sue and I are work with his TM Institute.
That's right.
How are you? I had a very interesting conversation today with a hummingbird. And I did think that we were communicating.
He, when he was shooting, what was the one with it was set
Inland Empire?
Yes, he was shooting Inland Empire. I was walking down Hollywood Boulevard at probably 3 a.m, leaving an after-hours bar, and then I hear my friend calling. She's like, "Hey, Jonah," and she looks like a beat-up prostitute. Turns out she was one of the prostitutes in the movie, and she waves me over. I go, "Oh, what's going on? What are you doing?" She's like, "I'm shooting that David Lynch movie." I'm like, "Oh my God, that's crazy." She goes, "You want to meet him?" And I go, I do, but it's 3 a.m. and I've been drinking since 6. And she's like, it's okay. So we go over to him, and he's just sitting on a bench, and he looks like $1 million.
Yeah.
He's this perfect hair, nice suit, and just sitting on a bench, like looking off, thinking, being brilliant. And she's like, Dave. He calls him Dave. Dave, this is my friend Jonah. He's a big fan. Oh, well, nice to meet you, Jonah. You want to have a seat? And I was like, no, I got it. And I didn't want to hang out. I didn't want to continue the conversation. I got too nervous. I was like, no, I'm on my way to work, so I gotta go. And then I had to act like I had a job that starts at 3 a.m.
Gotta mop up the dollar porn booth.
I gotta head down to the theaters.
Before I met him through TM, I was walking out of a Starbucks. Such a weird story. I was getting Vampira a coffee at Starbucks.
And Dana just started the most Hollywood story ever.
The most Hollywood story of all. I was over Mila Nurmi's. I was visiting Mila Nurmi. The story will come out later. And I was getting her some coffee, and we walked out, and David Lynch was walking into Starbucks, and I just said, man, I've spent a lot of money on you over the years. I haven't regretted a penny. And he just looked at me and he went, good man!
He was great in...
He's the best.
In Louis.
Yeah, so funny.
It's so funny. And I was just started watching a documentary last night about midnight movies. And he's in it a bunch. It's just
What's that?
It's a documentary. I think it's on Stars right now. And it's all about the
Eraserhead.
Yeah, well, it's like about the 7 midnight movies that made midnight movies.
So Rocky Horror.
Yeah, Rocky Horror, Pink Flamingos, and it's all the guys that made those movies. So, like, starts with El Topo, which they say started the idea of a midnight movie.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Just because it was a guy at the Elgin Theater in New York that was just like, well, I'll just play this at midnight and see how it does, and then guys wandered in, and then they're like, we're going to bring our friends the next night, and then that's how it rolled, like, out. And so, but it's all these directors talking about each other's movies.
That's terrific.
Yeah, it's a really good documentary.
That's terrific.
But he's in there talking about John Waters.
That's great. Like, I'm not a friend of his. I'm not like I'm in his company on occasion. And he's just wonderful to look at. And my wife is very good friends with Laura Dern, and they're very close, David and Laura.
And he's always looked cool. You know,
yes, he's a cool old guy now. No plastic surgery.
Yeah. But he even looked like, even when he was...
Far out, man.
Shots of him directing Eraser, you're just like, man, well, that's just like a cool-looking dude.
Yeah, cool-looking dude.
That is you.
Yeah.
You are not putting on any airs here.
Yeah.
There's some times when the stuff goes off the rails a little bit. Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me.
Yeah.
People went off the rails a little bit.
Yeah.
Why am I watching people eat corn? What does this have to do with anything?
I always admire the attempt, though, even when
he's intentionally... he's trying to do something.
It's kind of like Cronenberg is like that, too, with me.
Yeah. Terry Gilliam sometimes, too.
Yeah.
I did a double feature once at the New Beverly. It was Fire Walk with Me and Mulholland Drive.
Mulholland Drive, much better movie.
Yeah, yeah. Especially now. You know, I don't think I got it when I saw it. Mm-hmm. And then it really just took someone going, oh, it starts here and this part is a...
because I saw the TV pilot of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
An interesting story is this. Supposedly, Lost Highway is David Lynch's, this completely rumor I heard, is his take on the O.J. trial that he was apparently very obsessed with. That O.J. Simpson is guilty, but was so in denial of his ability to do what he did that he literally became another person. Like he underwent a psychogenic fugue that allowed him to escape his guilt over his murder by becoming a different person. Wow. In this case, Balthazar Getty. The agent of the transmogrification, played by Robert Blake, who later did the same deal.
Wow.
I'm writing down psychogenic fugue.
Yeah.
I'm going to be needing that.
Fugue's
going to be
going
using
into
that
one.
Later. Yeah. That's a goodie.
Yeah. Very impressive shite. Doodles Weaver is another one of those guys whose life is just really interesting.
I don't know. I know about his relatives, but I don't know anything else about him.
Well, Doodles Weaver, as you know, was sort of Jerry Lewis-esque. He worked with Spike Jonze.
Wait, is Doodles Weaver the same as Charlie Weaver?
No, Charlie Weaver's totally different.
What's the difference?
Doodles Weaver was a Pee Wee Herman-ish.
He's another guy Drew is obsessed with.
Yeah, very broad. Yeah, I came to know of him through Drew Friedman.
Yeah.
Very broad, worked with Spike Jonze.
What's funny about Drew Freeman's work is that I think
who ended up killing himself. You know, they all end so tragically. It's the craziness and the tragedy. Yeah.
Is that I think Drew is actually making a lot of these people's careers and lives live on for another couple generations, because when Drew's obsessed with them and does the drawings or illustrates the stories about them, it sort of becomes this additional cult on top of it.
Yes, well, I can tell you as the Ed Wood players that he did.
Ed Wood playing cards was fantastic, because that came out around the same time we were doing our screenplay. And
no, before.
Yeah.
No, Drew gets the credit for that.
Yeah, and that's sort of like when the Ed Wood cult started. I remember, like, when Any Person's Living or Dead.
Living or Dead, yeah.
Any resemblance, Characters Living or Dead.
Yeah. Right. Which, if you can get a hold of this book, Drew and Josh Allen Friedman.
Correct.
We're just going to talk about the Friedmans for an hour.
That's fantastic, though. They deserve it. That particular book is amazing.
They have an amazing book called Any Resemblance to Persons Living or Dead.
I think it's actually back in print.
It is.
It is back in print.
Yes.
And you can get it by going to DanaGould.com, clicking on our Amazon link, and going straight to Amazon.com. But any Resemblance to Persons Living or Dead is seriously one of the funniest things I've ever read. And the Tor Johnson in New York. Tor loves oatmeals. All that stuff.
Is the William Frawley stuff in that book?
Yes.
And the Andy Griffith racist stuff
Andy
is
Griffith
fantastic.
racist stuff is unbelievable. Selling a truckload of dead babies as canned peaches. And but that stuff, when it came out, that really defined my sense of humor. When you're sort of in that age where you're figuring out, like, okay, where do I fit in? Who am I? And that was right when I was like, yes, this is who I like, and this is my group. Like Ed Wood, the Friedman brothers.
Well, what they did really was that they defined something that was kind of growing, where like these characters, these really obscure B or C or D level celebrities that had a little bit of cachet on late night television.
Right.
You know, the Freeman brothers made that united us. We thought we were the only people who knew about this shit. And all of a sudden you saw their stuff, and you're like, oh my god, there's other people who are getting it too.
Well, it's Jungian. I mean, there's a collective unconsciousness.
Yes.
To all of those B actors.
Yes. And if you were one of those people that thought SCTV was funnier than Saturday Night Live, and you knew who Forrest Ackerman was, then that was your group. Yeah, no, that's right, but not everybody thought that. It's like you meet somebody that like, oh, that show's much funnier. It's like, yeah, you, okay. We're going to hang out.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a secret code. You're right. It's like a secret handshake.
It is like a secret handshake. Right. And that was really defined it.
Which is different now because of the whole internet generation, where like all this stuff is at your fingertips. So it's harder to define your cult.
Yes.
You know, or back then, like you were saying before, you had to wait for a movie to come out. You had to actually, you had to.
So if
there's a scarcity to this stuff.
If you mentioned Sammy Petrillo and the other person said, "Oh yeah, I've seen that movie too," I was like, "Oh my god!" And suddenly you're united, because how the hell do you even find that movie if you want to see it?
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
But you both caught it on late night TV.
I find it interesting how worlds collide and spin through loving all that stuff. As I ended up becoming friends with Mila Nurmi.
That's right.
And
that's right.
Famous as Vampira. And
probably best known as Vampira.
And then through Vampira, her fandom overlaps with the goth world that is all, metal and not really humor-oriented at all. But she is as beloved by those people as she is by other people for a different reason, and it's all projection. She has nothing to do with either of it. You know,
it's the look. I mean, that look is iconic.
Yeah, but there's people that are into her because they're comedy nerds that like horror movies, and she's hot,
right?
And she's a part of that. So you're kind of like, okay, I like you. I had that lobby card in my apartment, and then there's other people that like take that very, very seriously.
Yeah.
And like that's how they define themselves as outsiders, which is completely legit. It's just a different school of rebellion or self-identification. And it's funny how people project what they want onto cult figures in that regard.
Well, particularly someone like her, which is really just an image. I mean, she did have a television show at one point, but she's been broken down to being simply a figure.
Yes, and tragically devoted her life to hanging onto something that was, I believe the word is, unhanging ontoable.
Mm-hmm. Ephemeral. It's also the same thing with Sammy Petrillo, in the sense something happened to them. They had a certain thing that they did when they were very young, And instead of just moving on, and becoming something else, they chose to define the rest of their lives by that thing they did when they were young.
Ephemeral. I don't think that's a word. I think it's actually hang-on-to-able. We had a Halloween party in our neighborhood, and apparently Gary Oldman lives in our neighborhood because he showed up with his kid.
As Dracula?
You would think. But no, he looked a lot like Larry King. He just had his hair combed back and glasses on.
Sid Vicious, he came.
Yeah, he came as Sid Vicious. But I would think,
he goes to a lot of neighborhoods.
You have a Dracula suit. You could come. You have a Dracula suit. Yeah, and they're just like, he's just a guy in my yard.
Yeah.
It was pretty bizarre. Halloween, was that your favorite holiday growing up?
Oh,
his.
I'm a Halloween crazy person.
As am I.
I would always build a haunted house and put up special effects, and it got bigger and bigger as I became an adult. And
did you grow up out here?
I grew up out here, and
he proposed in a haunted house.
I proposed in a haunted house that was in Studio City on Beeman.
Yes.
Beeman.
The
Babcock.
Babcock. You proposed in the Babcock house?
Inside that haunted house.
That's fantastic. I proposed to my wife. It was going to be on Halloween.
See, but you didn't. And
I'll tell you what,
I did.
You're better.
You almost did it.
I'm in your office. We're not in my luxurious office. That's fantastic.
Oh, and I'm sorry. Your story is more interesting. Where did you propose?
You proposed to your wife in the Babcock house.
Actually, inside a haunted house on Halloween night. And Dana,
fantastic.
how did you propose? Tell us the story.
Well, I can go home and do it later with a sandwich, and cut it right in like I'm saying it now. We were going to a Halloween party on Halloween night as the Bride of Frankenstein and Frankenstein. And my plan was we were going to get dressed, and then just before we left, I was going to go, there's one thing that this is missing. And I was going to propose then.
Okay.
So the night before, we are going to go to the Cinerama Dome to see John Carpenter's Vampires with Cheryl Lee. And I'm sitting at my desk, and my wife comes home from work, and I had the wedding ring on the desk, and she comes down, and I grab it, and I stick it in my shirt pocket. Mm. And then she comes in and sits on my lap, as we are wont to do, and she pokes the box, says, "What's that?"
Why would she do that?
I think it was.
She knew. And she was really worried that you were going to do something like propose as Frankenstein.
I think so. She didn't have.
Let's cut this.
She didn't have the foresight to go. Let me back out of this slowly, like a cat off a diving board. And I ended up proposing right there. And then she accepted. I then made the observation that we still had time to go catch vampires at the Cinerama Dome.
Oh, so you didn't get to go to the movie?
I later saw it and thought, thank God I didn't go see that movie on the night we proposed. Right. Yeah, that would have been... Yeah, like when I said...
All right, here's the ring, honey. Oh, God damn it starts at 7:45. We got to get over there.
Do you or
I don't want to miss the trailers.
Do you or do you not want to see James Woods in tight jeans, which is that whole movie? Now, is your house still tricked out?
Oh, not like it used to be. I mean, all the kids on the west side migrated to this one intersection in Santa Monica, and so we stopped getting trick-or-treaters, so that became depressing, and then we stopped throwing our giant, crazy Halloween party a few years ago because my oldest son got burnt out on helping me set it up.
I understand.
And I just, setting up the ladder and climbing on the roof and hanging the strobe lights, and doing it all by myself, it just became too depressing.
Also, what's weird about parties like that is that as you grow older and have different things in your life, parties change. I mean, I think like when Scott first had his Halloween parties, it was a hipster kind of like,
sure.
all the guys hang out. Then all of a sudden you have little kids, and it turns into some more of a little kid Halloween party, and then those kids become teenagers, and then they totally take over the party, and then there's kids getting drunk at your Halloween party, and then you have another little kid, and it's sort of like, well, her friends are going to come at 6, and your friends are going to come at 8, and then it becomes just kind of a traffic nightmare.
Yeah, we are at the little kid phase now. Yeah, because we don't get trick-or-treaters where we live, but I still decorate the house extensively. My kids are 3, 8, and 10, so they're right in
when I bought
high dudgeon.
I bought my first house. It was in the canyons in the Hollywood Hills, but at the very bottom. And one of the things I loved about it was it had a huge grassy front yard. And as soon as we looked at the house, my wife turned to me and said, "You can put a cemetery there for Halloween." I was like, "Oh, she's smart. She's thinking ahead." And so that was my plan. And the first Halloween, I completely did up the house, and I had my projected talking heads in there, and I had all the gravestones, and I had things flying in the trees on motors. and not one trick-or-treater. Not one, literally not one person. And I was so sad. And she walked down to Sunset, and she found some groups of kids, and she said, my husband's really depressed. And then she marched him back up about 3 blocks to the house. So I got that one little group.
And he gave them 1 Snicker bar.
That is the sweetest story. Your wife is so great.
Yeah.
His wife would have seen vampires.
That's true. That is the greatest story. You married the right chick.
You're right. You're right, I did.
Yeah.
The thing that I find so great about Ed Wood is that it's about all these weirdos and kooky people, and they're all treated with such love and so celebrated and not, shit on. Yeah,
the character.
I would describe this room like that. Everyone knows the origin of Christmas. There's the story of the baby Jesus, born in a manger to a family of toy-making elves high in the North Pole. But what about Halloween? Oh, yes, it's a pagan something. The word Halloween first appeared around the 16th century and represents a Scottish variant of All Hallows Even, which is short for All Hallows Evening, which is the night before All Hallows Day, which back in the 16th century was the day when the networks announced their fall shows. Halloween as we know it is the descendant of 2 different things. First, there's the Celtic festival of Samhain, which is spelled Samhain, is usually pronounced Samhain, and sometimes pronounced Savna. But that will not stop 400 people from writing in to tell me that I've said it wrong. By and large, it is the festival of Summer's End, which, in the Celtic lore of the 16th and 17th centuries, was when the stores held their big back-to-school sales. This coincided with the time of the year when the physical and supernatural worlds were the closest. Supposedly, the dead revisited their homes on Samhain Eve. Samhain also falls right at the same time as All Saints' Day, or All Hallows, when Christians prayed for the recently deceased who had yet to reach heaven. Also, creepily, All Hallows Eve provided one last chance for the dead to gain vengeance on their enemies before moving on to the next world. To avoid being recognized by an avenging soul, Christians would wear masks and costumes to disguise themselves as they followed a trail of lighted candles set by others to guide their travel for worship the next day. This practice, over time, evolved into, you guessed it, trick-or-treating. Fear of being smoten by a ghost of a person you wronged in life naturally leads to fun-sized Snickers. The carving of jack-o'-lanterns derived from the Samhain custom of carving turnips into lanterns as a way of remembering the souls held in purgatory. Immigrants to North America used pumpkins, which were more plentiful and infinitely easier to carve than turnips. This American tradition of carving pumpkins is recorded in 1837 and was originally associated with harvest time in general, not becoming specifically associated with Halloween until the mid to late 19th century. There you have it, folks. Trick-or-treating, pumpkins, and spooks. It's Halloween. Don't stay out too late.
This has been the Dana Gould Hour, brought to you by the Internet. Music by Andy Paley with Jake Posner behind the board. Engineering by Brent Butler. Internet junk by Spencer Hunt and Segan Friend. Sound editing, effects, and everything else by Jalinda Palmer. Mixed by Joe Napolitano. Hey, if you like the show, why don't you drop us a line at show@danagould.com. Tom Kenny speaking.
This is Orson Welles, ladies and gentlemen. Out of character, to assure you that the War of the Worlds has no further significance than as the holiday offering it was intended to be. The Mercury Theater's own radio version of dressing up in a sheet and jumping out of a bush and saying boo. Starting now, we couldn't soap all your windows and steal all your garden gates by tomorrow night, so we did the best next thing. We annihilated the world before your very ears and utterly destroyed the CBS. You will be relieved, I hope, to learn that we didn't mean it and that both institutions are still open for business. So goodbye, everybody, and remember, please, for the next day or so, the terrible lesson you learned tonight. That grinning, glowing, globular invader of your living room is an inhabitant of the pumpkin patch, and if your doorbell rings and nobody's there, that was no Martian, it's Halloween.